Hey, guess what? You know, the President of the United States has been bombing a lot of people without a war resolution. And so guess what Hillary Clinton's going to do? Hillary Clinton will push Congress to finally declare war on ISIS. That's what she's going to do, according to Tim Kaine. It's time for Congress to get back in the game, the VP pick says. So, well, let's just see. According to Huffington Post, Hillary said that there's something she wants to do. This is something she wants to do very early in her administration. I wonder why. I wonder why she wants to, why this is so important to her. It says the challenge that we're grappling with now is most of our thoughts and doctrines about war were really developed in the notion of war, was state versus state, he said. We're at war now against a non-state actor that doesn't follow the Geneva Conventions, that doesn't follow any of the normal rules, you know, like we do.
Oh, that was so funny because I was just going to say we don't.
You know, like we do.
We torture.
You know how we're Geneva Conventioning the fuck out of Guantanamo right now? Remember how we Geneva Convention the fuck out of Abu Ghraib? Remember how we Geneva Convention the fuck out of Afghanistan and our black sites? Remember how we Geneva Conventioned the fuck out of those hospitals we bombed? Remember how we Geneva Conventioned the fuck out of Iraq? A war of aggression? War of aggression for oil? That's called, yeah. Yeah, so these other guys, though, they're not human like us. You mean how we tortured Chelsea Manning because he revealed war crimes that are our Geneva Conventioning? He revealed our lack of Geneva Conventioning. So you guys you didn't Geneva Convention him, you war crimed him, you tortured him. That's what they did. That's what they do. If you expose a war crime within our government, if you do a war crime, they're going to give you, your own school of thought over at Johns Hopkins. But if you expose a war crime inside our government, they'll throw you in jail, they'll torture you, all that stuff. So to me, that was grossy.
I don't really understand what he's saying, because part of what you just said could be used as an argument for that, because we got away with a lot of those things because it was a non-declared war, because a lot of those people were considered non-state actors, so we weren't beholden to a Geneva Convention in those instances. So if they had been a war that was declared by Congress, we would have been bound by the Geneva Convention, so we wouldn't have been able to, for instance, Abu Ghraib wouldn't necessarily have been legal. A lot of what we've done in Guantanamo wouldn't be legal if those were declared wars.
So you're saying if we had declared those wars, then America wouldn't have done those things, or they would have been in jail?
There would have been broader legal consequences. Well, I don't know that there actually would have been, but I'm just saying, like, you're not. I would like to tease out I would like to figure out what the hell he's actually talking about. Like, in what way are we going to declare war on ISIS if they're not a given state? And what are the benefits of declaring war on ISIS?
That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, why does she want to do this? Like, you would think she'd want it the other way, because right now it's like the president's kind of been given impunity to go bomb. Like, he can bomb a place for 60 days. Or he can start a war for 60 days. That's what it is right now, until he has to ask Congress for approval. That's what, even though they're still...
Not even approval, funding, essentially.
Is that it? Okay.
I mean, you're right. It is approval, but it's...
So what is in it for them to declare war? What do you think? I don't know. I'm going to keep looking, and I'll be asking and Googling and try to find out what's in it for them. Go ahead.
Sort of the similar thing that motivated the email server. She knows how much bloodlust there is from her enemies, from the right. I mean, she's been persecuted by them forever. So is it possible that if by making the war official, it removes some of the potential for them to go after her for doing these illegal things, sort of like what Robert was saying? Like, they'll hold her feet to the fire, whereas they're not holding Obama's feet to the fire.
Maybe. What do you think, Steph?
Well, I was just considering the idea that after you spend trillions of dollars, when does it make it a real war? I mean, what's that magic number? And how ultimately convenient for our government that if I don't recognize your faction as a as a I don't know, state versus state. You know, you're a terrorist organization. You're an organization that kind of roams through whatever country. Then I don't need to declare war against you, because how could I possibly do that? But I can also torture you.
Yeah. So
there seems a slippery slope.
My whole thing is, what Robert, we're getting back to what he was saying, is that if you say we are at war, then they're no longer non-combatants or whatever. They're no longer not.
They don't fall into the midpoint where
Yeah.
everybody who ended up at Guantanamo ended up.
The reason why that was the reason why we were able to torture those guys, because they weren't in uniform. They're not state actors.
Additionally, they're in
terrorists.
international waters.
Yeah,
right?
so they call them whatever. They have special. You're right about that. That is why they didn't follow the Geneva Convention, because they're not. These aren't real soldiers. These are terrorists.
Right, but the spirit of they violated consistently over and over again.
Yeah.
The spirit of the Geneva Convention.
Yes,
But she's vulnerable where the laws are gray.
okay.
That's what I mean.
All right.
I think I'm just kind of throwing it out there.
I will tell you one thing is guaranteed, that there will be more war under Hillary Clinton, not less. And things will get worse. And no doubt about it, things are going to get worse all the way around. Climate change, Wall Street, war. Nothing's going to get better.
Well, Jimmy,
and I think that Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton was the greater evil than Bob Dole. No doubt about that. That's the weird thing. It's not the lesser of evil, because Democrats can do evil that Republicans get stopped from doing. Go ahead.
I would suggest that our consistent. How we're in war so often, for how long now?
We've been bombing Afghanistan for 15 straight years.
Okay, I think that is ultimately what our government plans as our jobs program.
This is our jobs program. That and jail, so we can have private prison guards, and if you don't have a job, we'll throw you in jail. That's pretty much what we're doing in America ever since Bill Clinton's crime bill, which exploded the population, which was so punitive. The 100-to-1 difference in sentences between cocaine and crack and stuff. He left all that in place. And, there's now more black people guys in jail than there ever were as slaves. So there you go. All right. More war. Yay. Go Hillary. Hey, we're doing the right thing. Yay.